Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another rendition of the Run Amok Sunday Show, your fix for football Sundays. And again, it is just me, unfortunately. Again, I said last week, trying to get more people on here. Unfortunately, things just didn't work out. Lots of timing issues, and partially on me for sure, mostly on me. But listen, it'll all get settled, it'll all get fixed, and in the meantime, well, we hopefully get some other people on next episode next week. Today we're going to talk about some fun stuff. We're still going to have some fun. We're still going to get an episode out. We're still going to chat a little bit because a lot of things are happening around the league. First and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about the combine. I am kind of saving that for when I'm with my other fellas. But we are going to talk just a little bit about the combine. We're going to talk about Caleb Williams. We're going to talk about how this whole thing is getting a little bit overblown with him. And then we're going to talk about the franchise tag. We're going to jump into a little bit of Justin Fields talk and just a lot of fun, fellas. So let's dive right in. Let's go. Let's dive right into the combine. I'm going to talk about two guys. We're going to talk about two guys. I have 4 names put down with the D linemen specifically, because I'm a D-line, O-line type of guy. And so, again, I want to save some of those for next week. Next episode, we'll probably go over the entire combine and risers and losers and stuff. But for today, I really want to focus on Mr. Chop Robinson, fellas. Chop Robinson had himself quite a showcase at the combine. Not only was his measurables great, but his, of course, testing. Running a 4.48 40-yard dash. I'm trying to see what was his measurables. 6'2" and 254 pounds. He had a broad jump of 10 feet 8 inches. Tied for the best from the entire D lineman. Yeah. This guy was looking insane. He's got nice arms length. He's going to be an absolute monster, I think. He's probably at this point edge 3 or 4. You might be able to argue him as edge 2, honestly. I think Dallas Turner is probably number 1 still, but Chop made himself quite a case, and I think whatever team does end up drafting him, they're going to have quite a lot of fun with him. He's going to, I seen him mocked to the Houston Texans. I think that would be really, really good for him. You've got D'Amico Ryans, of course, as the head coach. He is a defensive type of guy. Playing alongside Will Anderson, that is going to be a offensive lineman's nightmare. And he is so explosive. He gets off the ball really well. He's great against the pass. He's good against the run. He can do it all. He might need to work on his hands a little bit as this draft season progresses going into the league. But just as a prospect, this is who you're getting, definitely going to be a good pick. Big fan of Chop Robinson out of Penn State. And then the story of the combine, at least for day 1, Braden Fisk, who was maybe a 3rd round pick, might have performed himself well enough to potentially be a 2nd rounder, maybe even a late 1st rounder. That's how good he was playing. That guy, boy, I'm trying to find, what was his 40-yard dash time was insane. He ran a 4.78 40-yard dash. 6'5", 297 pounds. You can assume that he'll probably get to 300 to get into the NFL shape. Boy, he was moving out there. He really showed off his quickness, his athleticism for his size. He's a combine legend now for sure. He finished his combine here. You go, oh yeah. Like the Kool-Aid man. And so, yeah, I have some other guys that I would love to talk about, but I am going to save it for next week. So, yeah, just wanted to talk about the combine real quick. We're not ignoring it. Alrighty, now let's get into some more fun stuff. I want to talk about this Caleb Williams situation. He didn't throw at the combine. He didn't send his medical records to all 32 teams, and he paints his nails and he cries to his mom. Apparently, those have all been issues with Caleb Williams as to why people think he's going to be a bust, why he's not so likable, why he's this, why he's that. Caleb Williams is going 1st overall pick, whether you like it or not, and he's going to be a really, really good quarterback, whether you like it or not. As long as he goes into a good coaching situation, some talent around him, which I do think that the Bears would fit. Matt Eberflus seems like a team guy. He seems like a player-friendly type of coach. I think that he could do some good things. It's been kind of up and downs with Chicago. As for the talent, you've got Cole Kmet, you've got DJ Moore, running back. Who is their running back? They could probably use a running back, I think. Offensive line is definitely a work in progress. So the offense is kind of iffy. But you get Caleb Williams in there, and you got the 9th overall pick. You can make some immediate game-changing moves by getting Caleb Williams. You can get a receiver. There's a lot of good receivers. I don't think any of the guys worth drafting are going to be at 9. Honestly, that's how stacked this class is. I would probably go maybe offensive lineman. It's a really good offensive lineman class. Maybe defense. There's a lot of things you can go here. We're not talking about the Bears, though. We're talking about Caleb Williams. Didn't throw at the combine. A lot of people didn't throw at the combine. Jaden Daniels didn't throw at the combine. I don't even think Drake May is throwing at the combine. Is that a problem for them? I mean, truly, I don't think so. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Jaden Daniels, and then you can argue, oh, well, Daniels, he came out and said, I'm doing it for, my teammates at the pro day. Okay. If Caleb Williams said that, I don't think people would give a crap about it, honestly. Didn't send his medical records to all 32 teams. He doesn't need to. It's just a diva move. It's just, it's just the act of doing it. He doesn't need to. Why would the 49ers, why would the Chargers, why would the Texans need Caleb Williams' medical records? Come on. It just doesn't make sense. And he said that, he'll be giving it to, I'm sure the Bears will get it. The Commanders probably. Teams that are in contention for that first overall pick that are interested in trading for it, they'll get those medical records. It's not like he's saying, I'm not going to give out my medical records. They'll get it. And I'm sure if let's say for some reason, the Vikings, they wanted to move up. I know that they've been in talks, and let's say Caleb Williams is sent out to them. If the Vikings wanted those medical records, they'll probably reach out to Caleb and ask, hey, can we get those medical records? And he'll send it to him. He'll send it to him. I don't get what the big deal is. He was asked a question about why he's not throwing, if he's scared to compete. This guy played at USC. Okay. And I get it. It's not a super strong conference. Played at USC, a horrible, horrible USC team, mind you. The defense did not help whatsoever. He got Brendan Rice as his receiver. Sure, the offense had some guys, but just overall not great around him. He's crying in his mom's arms because he lost a big game, one of the biggest games of his career probably, crying in his mom's arms, but he's scared to compete, right? If he didn't care, right? If he just walked off the field, that would have been a problem for some people as well, I'm sure. Caleb Williams is going to be a problem in the NFL, a good problem, mind you. And I cannot wait for this young man to prove himself up to a bunch of just crybabies, people just complaining for no reason, just not liking him because, I don't know, he paints his nails. Who cares? Who cares? That's going to be sick. If he makes it to the Super Bowl, maybe he does a little design. Come on. I mean, let's be real, please, for a second. And let's watch the talent. Oh, he's not great under pressure. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Please go on ahead and watch him, Caleb Williams. Makes some insane throws. The closest thing, every year there's a Patrick Mahomes comparison. He is probably the closest thing we'll ever get to an actual Patrick Mahomes comparison. He is safe. He is a safe pick. The Chicago Bears are going to improve drastically next season getting Caleb Williams. Whether you like it or don't, I'm sorry. I mean, you can deny it. You can deny it. I'm not. We've seen haters from Tom Brady. We've seen haters from Patrick Mahomes. Now Caleb Williams is getting hated before even getting on a team. I mean, I get it. You don't like it because, I don't know, you think Drake May is better. You think Bo Nix is better. I mean, I'm not. I think it's wild to me that people are literally rooting against a 22, 23-year-old. He's going to do great things. He's going to do great things. He's sure. Is he a diva? We've seen divas in the league. And they do just fine. I think he just keeps it real. He's not going to waste his time. He's about his business. Why would he send all medical records to 32 teams? Doesn't make sense. If it was anybody else, I don't think it would be blown out. Didn't throw at the combine. He doesn't need to. What more does he have to prove? What more does he have to prove? Oh, he's scared to compete. He's scared to look bad. Yeah, he probably is. He probably is scared to look bad because Caleb Williams is under the most scrutiny under any prospect the past maybe 10 years. I mean, it is outrageous, truly. And I think Caleb Williams is going to do great things. And I think Chicago should be very excited. I've seen some Chicago fans on Twitter be like, "Oh man, this is my worst nightmare that we select Caleb Williams." Brother, I promise you that is, if that's your worst nightmare, you might need to rethink some things because, boy, they went through Justin Fields, and of course, management was bad. It wasn't super great surrounding Fields. It just seems like it just didn't work out, and it does seem like he's on his way out. However, I will say, if the Bears do choose to continue with Fields and trade the pick, that won't be bad either, okay? For the Chicago Bears, because you've already got a quarterback. And I don't mean quotes like he's a running back. I mean like you've got a quarterback already. And you might not want to take the risk on Caleb Williams. I'll say the same thing about any other team that's going to be in that position. If it's the Vikings, if it's the Commanders, if it's the Patriots, if it's this, if it's that, they're going to get a very, very good quarterback. They're going to feel good about themselves. They don't need to worry about that quarterback play for the next 5 years. Point blank period. Just get a receiver then. Just surround him with some solid guys, and you'll see fireworks. I'm a big fan of Caleb Williams, and he's easily the best quarterback in the draft. It is absurd that people are trying to argue otherwise. Let's go, Caleb. Let's go. Sorry, so I had to rant a little bit there, but continuing on the trend of the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields, again, I don't want to talk too much about him because I do want to save it for next week. But Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins sounds like either or are going to be the Atlanta Falcons' next quarterback. I am in love with Justin Fields going to the Atlanta Falcons. I think that is a match made in heaven. Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, with Raheem Morris at the helm, that is chef's kiss. That is going to feed so many families. Even if they don't compete, just a team full of vibes, just a team full of auras, just a team of talent, and hopefully Morris would be able to elevate and execute with all that talent. It seems like it's tough to not, but we saw what Arthur Smith was able to do with not using Pitts, not using Bijan, not using Drake to their fullest potential. And with Fields, now you've got a whole nother dimension, or Desmond Ridder, that Taylor Heinicke wasn't giving you. You've got that quarterback run option. Bijan and Fields in the backfield, the read option, what are teams going to do? Just the scramble ability to make more plays, to get more time, get Fields or get Pitts open, get London open. It's going to be great, and I really hope that the Falcons pull the trigger with whatever the price may be. And it's got to be a little lower because you can tell that the Bears are desperate to let him go. The Bears, it seems like they want to stay at 1 and pick Caleb, as I just ranted about earlier. And so teams they know that, obviously. And they know, well, we're not going to give a first-round pick for Fields because it's like we have the leverage here. We don't have to get this guy for more than what you're selling him for, right? The Bears are definitely trying to get, first, second round pick for him. But honestly, I do think that a third he might go for because of the fact the Bears aren't going to have a use for him. So I do think the Falcons, if the price tag is a third round pick, even like 2 third round picks, I would pull the trigger. If you get into the seconds, okay, but definitely not a first rounder because the Bears are desperate to give him up. And then you've got the Kirk Cousins to Falcons, which sounds like it's more likely. That's what people are saying. The Falcons are just in the quarterback and Justin Fields is overblown, and the word that they prefer Kirk Cousins as their option. So that's interesting, so to say. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. However, he's like 34, 35? Let's see, how old is Kirk Cousins? Coming off of an Achilles injury. He's 35 years old, coming off an Achilles injury. Oh, brother. I get it. You want to get a set quarterback for like these teams that are bad, for so long that haven't had a good quarterback play. You want to just get a proven guy, and I get it. That's what we saw the Jets do. They went out ahead. They got Aaron Rodgers, and then we saw what happened then. Now you're going on and getting a 35-year-old Kirk Cousins who's coming off a torn Achilles, who hasn't really had much playoff success. Sure, you'll be getting a leader. He's going to be a leader of men. And he will probably elevate Pitts and London and Bijan as well. but I just don't think that your offense is as dynamic as it could be. He'll deliver the ball to those guys, and he'll be cool. He'll be cool. The Falcons will win some games, but I do think it's kind of like pick your poison. I think with Fields, you've got a higher ceiling but a lower floor, because if Fields doesn't show out, it could be a disaster and it could be a big thing, and then the Falcons could be in contention for the number 1 overall pick in the next couple of years. But I do think that the chance of a higher ceiling is a pretty good chance. With Kirk Cousins, you've definitely got a lower ceiling. You're going to be at least an average team. And then that floor is higher. You've got a higher floor, lower ceiling. I think that with that, you'll go 500, you'll win 8 games, 9 games, and that's it pretty much. You might make the playoffs with how weak that division is. Yeah, you might win the division, but nothing spectacular. You'll probably get first rounded. I don't think that Kirk is a needle mover that this team needs. Getting a veteran is good. There's other veterans you can get. I think Jacoby Brissett would be a better option as a backup. Go out and get Fields and get a veteran backup quarterback. I think that Brissett is a better option. I think that Jameis Winston is a better option. I think even you can keep Heineke as the backup, because Heineke's a cool guy, but I don't think that Kirk would be the right move for the Falcons. You're going to be paying him like 40-45 million a year. You've got the young team, you can do that, but I think go with the cheaper alternative at quarterback. Go with Justin Fields. I believe he's going into his 4th year maybe. Go with the cheaper alternative and then see what you can do. Believe in the coaching staff. Use that money that you would have paid Kirk and go build that defense. Go build the O-line. Go get another receiving threat. You can do so much more with that 40+ million than paying Kirk Cousins for, an 8-9, 9-8 season. So I definitely think the Falcons have 2 routes to go. Both routes, hit or miss. They've got their pros, they've got their cons. Me personally, I think that Fields to Atlanta is the best match for both parties. Fields is going to do great things, and I think the Falcons would be able to do great things with Mr. Justin Fields. Now, last episode, we talked about T. Higgins getting that franchise tag. This episode, we've got L'Jarius Sneed getting the franchise tag from the Kansas City Chiefs. Very expected. And now what's the move with Chris Jones? So, it does seem like the Chiefs are in a situation where they've got to pick their poison. Chris Jones obviously was a big game wrecker in the Super Bowl. Throughout the entire season, he was making big plays. But L'Jarius Sneed was a big part of that secondary, big part of that defense. The big part of that defense was the secondary with Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed. Who else do they have? Watson, I believe. And so it's tough to lose any of those guys, but you've got to do what you got to do. Obviously, cap space and money, it comes into the picture. And to be honest, I do think that the Chiefs will probably retain both of the guys, just because that's how crazy things can get in the NFL. So Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson. Those are the guys who I was thinking of. And then, of course, safety, you got Justin Reeds, Mike Edwards. Just a very good secondary overall. Lots of talent on that team. And then D-line wise, you got Chris Jones, you had Nadi, you had Karlaftis, you had Dana, you had Omenahu, a lot of guys, and a lot of playmakers. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the league. They just won the Super Bowl, so it's tough to argue with who they've got out there. But I think that I think the Chiefs could afford losing him just because of how good the defense repairs itself with how good Spagnuolo is. I think that they would be just fine. And I think that Joshua Williams performed well enough to slide in and kind of fill in that role. You got Jalen Watson as well. And it's also a really good cornerback class. I'm sure there'll be a guy at 32 for them to pick if they were to lose Sneed. Now, let's say they extend Sneed and they lose Chris Jones. Now I think it's a little bit of a problem because now you're losing a lot of depth there. First and foremost, just defensive linemen. You've got like 4 or 5 guys that are good, but losing Chris Jones means that Farrell or Wartorn would have to fill in, and that's just not cutting it. So then you got to go look in the draft, and there are some guys, but honestly, like we talked about earlier, obviously with the edges and the D linemen, it's not too deep. You can go Fisk. You can go Fisk at 32, frankly. That would be fun. But I don't know if he would be worth that 32 spot, to be honest. You could even trade down. But I don't really think it's that big of a D-line class. And so I don't think that you should look towards there. And if I'm going to be honest, if I got to choose between the two, I'm extending Chris Jones. I'm giving him the big money. I'm giving him a blank check because he's the heart and soul of that defense. In my opinion, this is me personally speaking, the D-line sets the tone. You got a good D-line, everybody else's job is easier. If the Chiefs defense lose Chris Jones, there's going to be no pressure getting to the quarterback, and Snead, McDuffie, Williams, they'll be getting burnt. They'll be getting gassed. They'll be getting outran. It's going to take a drastic hit. You retain Chris Jones. You put a rookie in there for L'Jarius Sneed because, let's say you traded Snead away. Now we're talking, okay, the quarterback's getting pressure in his face. He's got to get that ball off faster. Cornerbacks will be there. And you might even be able to get a first-round pick for Snead. And in that case, again, you can get a way better cornerback. Plus, pick 32, you can draft a D lineman for some depth. You probably need to go O-lineman, though. So that definitely fixes you. If you go on ahead, you trade L'Jarius Sneed, let's say to the Eagles, they've got, pick like 22 or something. And then you can take a cornerback in that position. There's a lot of good cornerbacks out there. The guy from Toledo, you got Kool-Aid McKinstry, you got a lot of guys. And I'm sure one of them will be there at the Eagles pick. So you trade Sneed to the Eagles, bada bing, bada boom. And then at 32, you can go ahead, you can get a lineman, you can get a receiver, you can fill in other needs. But I do think that the Chiefs will find a way. Snead might play on his franchise tag. Chris Jones might sign a 1-year extension. It's a cheap deal just so this team can go on ahead and play for a three-peat. It could be interesting to see, but they're the Chiefs. They always find a way. It's gonna be upsetting. It's gonna be upsetting. Don't get your hopes up for the rest of the league, because again, this team figures out ways to do things that other teams can't. And actually, that being said, Snead is going to have a lot of market. The Falcons were another team. We talked about the Falcons previously. They're another team that were in talks of looking at Snead in free agency. But obviously, he's not going to hit free agency. Yeah. All right, and then last up, just a quick little topic that I want to talk about. Hassan Reddick might get traded. We just mentioned the Philadelphia Eagles, and now their star pass rusher may be looking to get moved. He's looking for a pay raise. He wants to get paid more than what he's getting paid, which I'm actually not sure. Let me check what he's getting paid real quick. 3-year, $45 million deal. Yeah, he's not getting paid very much at all. He's not getting paid much at all. So he wants to get paid as the star pass rusher as he is, which I go him, get that bag. The Philadelphia Eagles just cut Kevin Byard, and so that's definitely making up some cap space. I do believe that they'll be able to retain Reddick, but it's fun to think a little bit about what they can trade him for, who they would trade him to. Some teams that need edge rush help. Let's see. Maybe he goes back to the Panthers. Maybe they lose Brian Burns and they try to fill in that hole with Hassan Reddick. Maybe he goes back to the Arizona Cardinals. It has to be a team that has cap space and that needs edge rushing help. Also that has the draft capital. I think that those two teams could be pretty interesting. Just former teams of his. Teams competing, maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That would be interesting. Again, the NFC South, weak division. So maybe the Patriots. The Patriots could be fun. They've got the capital draw, and Mayo might be wanting to build up that defense. He's a defensive guy. Definitely would be fun to watch him and Judon go side by side. Whatever happens, though, I think that the Eagles, they've got a plan. They drafted Nolan Smith, who we really didn't see much work of this season because there really wasn't any room for him. Losing Hassan Reddick would open up that spot for him, and I think he could do some solid things for Philly. I think that Hassan Reddick deserves to get paid. I do believe that at the end of the day, the Eagles will extend him because he's just such an Eagle guy. He fits the environment. I'm sure he loves being there. They obviously love to have him there. And so I do think they'll work something out. But if he were to get moved, I think of those teams that I mentioned, and definitely some more guys that I'm probably not thinking of right now. Those would be fun to watch. But just something, a rumor mill going around. Had to mention it, just as something to keep our eye on. Folks, that is going to round off this episode of the Sunday Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next week. Maybe some other episodes throughout the week. I might want to talk about Caleb Williams some more. It's combine season, it's draft season. Lots of news to talk about. Lots of fun to be had. Hopefully next week I get some other fellas on here and we can just talk about ball. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, drop a like, subscribe, drop a comment, all that fun stuff. Go check out all the social medias. They'll be in the description below. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'll catch y'all next week for the Sunday Show. Peace out.